Start spreading the news. I am leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the PM show at the Manettis. And on the line right now, we have Chef Rick Tarantino, the world-famous chef. And we were commenting earlier during the break here about him training legendary Justin Miller, the 6-year-old super chef.
He was a phenom.
Yeah. And Chef Rick personally worked with this kid, and they traveled the world together.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. And Chef Rick, I'm so glad you could take time out of your busy schedule to join us, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you what. When Larry called me up and he said, you got to be on the radio show, I said, I'm there. Anytime, any day.
You certainly did.
Hi, Rick. It's Nancy. How you doing, honey?
Nancy, it is a pleasure to talk to you on the radio, sweetheart.
And Eric Hines is with us, and Uncle Will.
Eric and Uncle Will. I feel like the whole family's here.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just waiting for Grandma.
Yeah, we're about to do some hillbilly hand fishing, but we decided to do the show instead.
Hey, listen, before we go any further, I asked Nancy, how do we get the gas out of beans for pasta fagioli? They think I'm kidding here, but is there any way?
Don't you boil them?
While I was waiting to come on the show, I could hear you guys talking, and you went from hillbilly fishing to gas.
Yeah, that's it.
So the first way to get rid of it is don't eat the beans.
There you go.
The second way is you got to take some of that digestive enzyme with your beans. They sell it in the supermarket and in the pharmacy, and you just pop one of those pills and your gas goes away.
I love it. Beano.
Beano,
Yeah.
Beano, you got it.
I love Beano.
So, Chef Rick, listen, I want the world to know about you because I'm such a big fan of yours, and I know that you started out as a youngster, about 12 years old or whatever, in Cape Cod at your mother and father's family motel called the Ebbtide, and it was in I think in Chatham, Massachusetts.
It was in Chatham, Massachusetts.
And that's where the elite meet to eat, where the Kennedys used to sail around. I mean, that was the place.
That is. That's out in the far end of Cape. That's the wrist of the Cape, almost out to the end, which is Provincetown. And back in the 70s, I started there as a young buck. My family was in the Cape Cod hotel business, and my father loved the hotels, and he always wanted me to work in the front desk and in housekeeping. And then when I got done doing what Dad wanted me to do, I used to run over to the restaurant and work all nights and then early mornings over at the restaurant because that was my true passion.
Hey, now, Rick, I mean, how did this passion kind of bite you? Did you have family or friends that maybe cooked, or did you see people on TV, or how did that all work out?
I'm Italian.
Okay, that answers it.
That answers that, doesn't it? I had my grandmother live with us. My mother, everybody cooked. It's an Italian thing. You have a kitchen in your top floor, and you have a kitchen in your basement. That's all we do is eat, cook, and talk.
Wow. Hey, Chef Rick, I want to know, everybody out there has a kitchen. Everybody has to eat. For the home cook, what are the 5 most important things to have in your kitchen that you use all the time?
All right. Did Larry and you make questions so you could just fire them at me? How you want to see how good I was?
No, that's just me.
All right, honey, this is what I would do. I would always have a pasta, always some kind of pasta, any shape that you like. Today you can get some of these farro pastas and these high-protein pastas. And I have celiac sprue, so I have a gluten allergy and gluten intolerant, and so I eat a lot of gluten-free pastas. But you can get all kinds of pasta today, and it's great because it's shelf-stable. It lasts a long time in your pantry.
Right.
And it's always on hand, and it's quick, 20 minutes. You're ready to go. You can mix it with anything you have. So you can have sauce, you can have fresh vegetables, you can have just a little garlic oil, salt and pepper, a little cheese. This time of the year, it's great summertime. You can pop some vegetables from your garden and mix it right in. You got a nice fresh pasta al fresco, and you impress your guests. That's one of the things I always like to have on hand is pasta. The next thing I like to always have on hand is chicken, beef, pork, or fish. Those would be 4 of the other things I always have. So whether I have it prepared in the freezer or I have some fresh that was on sale that week, I always have a protein available so that I can use that as a base. I like to call them icebox recipes. So we could pull from the icebox, pull from the freezer. Right? Remember that term, icebox, right?
Yeah, icebox.
Yeah, what's that?
I never had an icebox myself, but I've heard
tales of those mysterious things. Yeah.
And You could just pop those, Nancy, out of the freezer, and you can start with anything. You have a little chicken, a little fish, a little beef, a little pork. Any one of those proteins you can lead into any dish. So
Right.
pasta and proteins are your 5 basics.
Okay, perfect.
Of course, garlic. You always have to have garlic.
Garlic.
I have to have 6, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a
And,
must.
and after that comes mouthwash.
Not if you feed it to everybody else.
No, that's true. That's true.
Now, Chef Rick, I mean, you've had quite an experience, of course, starting at a real young age, 12 years old, and just, at this point, you're traveling the world. You're actually mentoring other young chefs into getting into the industry. I mean, how does that feel? When you go back home, are you kind of like a hometown hero, or just the regular guy?
It's funny. I'm a regular guy, actually, by heart. I'm a really family man. I spend time home with my boys and my stepdaughters, and I live in a lake in Massachusetts, and we have a great time. We do a lot of cooking with a lot of friends and family. But what I really think is important, and I'm a true sender of this message, is you have to teach these young folks today how to eat,
Absolutely.
and how to cook for themselves, because they're so dependent on the fast food or the ready-made food that they need to know how to use that as a tool, not just as a solution to their meals. They can't just always grab a fast meal. They have to use that product to make a healthy meal, and that's what we teach them today. We teach these kids just how to cook, and we go into some of these inner-city youth, and we teach them about vegetables that they can get, and making all-natural energy drinks instead of drinking down something that might be a little too much caffeine for them or a little too many stimulants for them.
I would bet that some of these kids have never even tasted fresh vegetables.
Nancy, some of them don't. And in the inner cities, especially when we do a lot of work, it's frozen or canned vegetables.
Right.
And, with the exception of, some of the cities like New York, you can get, vegetables on any corner. Other cities like Washington, D.C., you don't have that. You have high-end restaurants and coffee shops on every corner.
But, Rick, now they're growing vegetables on the rooftops in New York.
They are.
Utilizing these tall buildings. And, you would think, and it just came to pass as I'm speaking, that if the city would partake in it, they could grow vegetable gardens on the roof, and it could be public, and these kids in the bad areas there that haven't tasted vegetables can get some.
It's important, Larry, true, is you got to educate. Education is the key, right? We got to educate kids about everything, and food
Definitely.
and nutrition is one of those things that you don't pick it up in the street. Someone's got to teach it to you.
Yeah.
Well, it's ironic too, Rick, is that we know more now than ever before that the food we eat has a direct correlation to our health.
Right.
Yet our obesity rates are at an all-time high. Parents and families aren't cooking at home anymore. I mean, it's kind of a sad state of the culinary world, as it would be.
Well, I think it's part and parcel to, it's driven by a lot of factors, and some of those factors are price. When we walk into the grocery store, we all have a budget, and we shop on that budget, and some of the things that we want are higher priced. Some of the things that we have to substitute may not have the same nutrient content that, another product may have. When it comes to availability of product, sometimes we get a little lazy. We used to eating the same thing over and over. I don't really. How many people pick up a cookbook and turn the page and pick a recipe and cook it tomorrow night?
Really?
Well, I say we start doing that, Rick. Hey, hang in there, buddy. We're going to go to a real quick break. When we come back, we want to talk to you more about health, about food, about so much more. So hang in there, Rick, would you?
Well, we'll be here waiting it up.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, you're listening to the PM Show with Larry and Nancy Manetti. We'll be back right after this on CRN Digital Talk Radio.